Hi friends, welcome to our root chakra class. It's going to be a little different than my normal classes because we're going to talk a little bit about the chakra first, some ways that you can determine the imbalances and overactiveness, ways that you can determine how to use your root chakra in your day-to-day life. We're going to talk about some yoga flows, and then some other things that you can use to help balance your root chakra. So first things first, I want to be very transparent here about this. I'm not a yoga teacher from any Indian heritage. The stuff I'm going to talk about today is very much rooted in the Indian heritage with the yoga philosophy and the history of yoga, and I don't want to whitewash that. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt. I've done research, and I'll link the books in the description on the YouTube channel so you guys can purchase these if you'd like to. One of the books that I got some information out of is a book called Eastern Body, Western Mind by Anodea Judith. And then I also have one, The Essential Guide to the Chakras with Swami Saradananda, and I really am butchering her name and I feel terrible about that. But I will link both of these books in the description below, but I do just want to be very transparent in the fact that I am not someone who has been practicing these for my entire life, right? Like, they're not my heritage, but I do want to share these things with my students so that they can understand a little bit more about yoga philosophy and yoga ideology outside of just the poses and the breath. So I'm really excited about this series. Chakras are something that has always kind of interest me, and it makes me just think about all the different areas of my life that are, affected by these chakras. So today we are going to talk about the root chakra. But before we get into what all entails in the root chakra, I want to talk a little bit about chakras themselves. So some spiritual views hold that our body is not just a physical and mental space, but also an energetic system using chakras. Chakras are thought to provide subtle energy that helps your organs, mind, and intellect work at their best level. So think about it more of like, you're eating healthy, you're getting enough sleep, so then the other areas of your life are kind of following suit, right? So you feel like you've got enough time to do all the things you need to do, you feel rested, you feel energetic, and you just overall have a sense of peace throughout your life. And any kind of issue with that, so whether that be sleep or not getting enough food in the day or, not taking enough time for yourself, they can all lead to other imbalances throughout our life. And that's kind of the idea behind the chakras, right? So when one chakra is overactive or underactive, imbalanced or underbalanced, whatever you want to think, overbalanced, whatever terminology you want to use, you think about a chakra having an equanimous state, right? And then you think about it being either under or over. And we want to be in that balanced state, right? We don't want to have too much and we don't want to have too less. And really, chakra work is about balancing that. So there's about 114 chakras throughout the body. That's what they think. But we focus on the 7 main ones. So going from root all the way up to crown. And they go along the spinal column because a lot of the times in yogic ideology, they imagine the idea of the energy coming from the base up past your head and into enlightenment. So we really have to hone in on the foundation part of the chakra work before you can get into the higher chakras. And that's why the first chakra that we're going over is called the root chakra, because it's all about stability, foundation, being grounded, and really just being in a stable sense. Okay, it's really hard to build a house if the foundation's out of whack. It's really hard to move forward in your life if where you are right now is not in a state of balance. So when you have an open, balanced chakra, this allows the energy to move freely throughout the body, creating feelings of security, positivity, independence, strength. When you are stuck or closed, this can cause issues with your moods, organs that are relative to that area of that chakra, right? So you think about the root chakra down in the pelvic region, and you think about any issues that you may have there, whether that be hips or even in the legs, and also in the feet. Another part of the body that the root chakra focuses on is the feet, which, I mean, it makes complete sense, right? You think about foundation stability. It's really hard to stand up tall if your feet aren't really working in the way that they should. And the same thing goes with the rest of all the area that's connected to that. So if you tend to be fearful or nervous, your root chakra is probably underactive. You'd easily feel unwelcome. If your chakra is overactive, you may feel very materialistic and greedy. You're probably obsessed with being secure, and you resist change. And if you let these kind of feelings and fear and let me back that up for a second. If you allow your chakras to stay imbalanced, right? This is just going to cause more of an issue throughout the rest of the part of your life. So whether that be, your energetic levels, your mentality, your intellectual readiness, any issues in the root chakra are going to kind of show themselves in other areas of the body or in your life. So one of the big things about the root chakra is it focuses on survival instincts, so the basic needs to survive. Having a balanced root chakra can allow you to not only feel stable, but also to gain prosperity, to not only have the security of living, but the freedom to live. And what I really loved about this, and I read a little bit more about it in this book, Eastern Body, Western Mind, what I really loved was that, it shows you that it's one thing to be stable in the fact that you have a house and you have a car and you have a job and you have money in the bank. And it's another thing to find prosperity and being able to actually live your life. So you have to have that foundation, but you also have to be able to expand from that, right? We don't want to be house poor. We don't want to just have a nice car and then we're broke everywhere else in our lives. You've got to have that stability and that foundation, but you've also got to have the ability to go past that. And I really loved that. And there's a couple other things I do just want to touch on a little bit. One of them being, one second. Oh, so going back to having imbalanced or overbalanced chakras. So if you think about the idea of the energetic system messing with the nervous system. So it says here, the nervous system and the adrenal glands remained overworked. In this state of hyperarousal, our triggers are more sensitive and more likely to react in extremes. And as a result of this, the body is in a constant state of stress. Fear engages our survival instincts by getting us ready to respond. But if it becomes constant, we lose our ability to respond appropriately. So to live with fear is to weaken it. To combat fear is to strengthen the first chakra. So, having these fears is good to an extent, but being able to go past your fears, to work past them is another thing. So let's talk about some of the benefits of working with your root chakra. So you can ground yourself. You can become to feel more secure. You can free yourself from prejudices or intolerances. You can gain insight on your relationships. But the number one is reconnecting with your body. So as your root chakra, it supplies you with the crucial energy to survive. This was the only focus from the time you were in the womb until you were around 1 year old. During that stage of development, you required warmth, nourishment, stability, and security. And for the most part, you were unaware of the outside world. This chakra is the seat of your instincts. It grounds you and gives you the energy to endure life's trials and tribulations. The fight and flight response is a manifestation of the energy of the root chakra. So what I was just saying in the other book, being overly stressed out all the time and being in this constant state can just cause more issues than needs to. And I think a lot of people just get into this thought of oh, well, that's just my life. And I'm just going to live my life that way. And I don't think I don't receive that. I really don't. I think that we need to work to get ourselves out of these constant states of stress instead of just being, apathetic to the point. So when I mentioned before, overactive and underactive, right? So underactive, you could be a fearful person. You can find difficulty holding down a job, often unable to settle down and make commitments and sustain healthy relationships. So, if you think about what the root chakra is, right? It's stability, it's foundation. If it's under, then you're going to have problems with any kind of stability. You're going to have problems with any kind of foundation, setting goals and sticking to them, right? Making plans, committing to other people, and committing to yourself. And then if they're excessive, you might hoard things, right? You kind of come to it from an over standpoint, like, I need to keep my foundation so stable, so I need to hoard all these things. And you might feel obsessed with physical security. You are preoccupied with routine and fear of change. You might suffer from OCD. You may feel stuck in your life. You may feel sluggish, heavy, things of that nature. And of course, there's a lot of other organ things that kind of come along into this. We won't go into that, but there's just a lot to really think about when it comes to the root chakra and how you feel. Do you feel sluggish? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel overcommitted? Do you feel undercommitted? Do you feel like you struggle developing stable relationships? And it all comes back to you, basically, at the end of the day. You can only control what other people have going on in their lives so much, but you have to do your own inner work. And you can't just project that on other people, right? Well, that's their problem. They have an issue with me and they're not understanding. Like, no. Take a step back, look at yourself. Like, where are you falling short? And if you don't think you're falling up short, well, that might be a situation for another chakra. So we've talked a lot about ways to determine imbalances, what the chakras do, how to utilize the chakras in your day-to-day life, but how do you open and rebalance them, right? Like, how do we start to do the chakra work? It's one thing to notice how things are doing. It's a whole different ball game to actually make those changes, right? So how do we do that? Well, number one, ensuring that your basic needs are being met. So whether that be getting your finances in order, dealing with your debts, setting your goals, knowing what you want, and knowing how you're going to get there. Meditation, obviously something that's huge that I don't think a lot of people take advantage of, because I think people feel like they need to sit and meditate, and that's not the case. You don't have to sit and meditate. You can walk and meditate. You can work out and meditate. You can do yoga and meditate. Like, there's all these different ways, and it doesn't have to be 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes long, right? Like, some yoga practitioners take a whole hour of silence and meditate every day. I'm not asking you to do that. You don't have to do that. But you can meditate on certain practices, on certain thoughts. And you can also meditate on images and color, right? So the root chakra is representative with the color red. So maybe looking at a nice red mandala, or there's these things called yantras that you can look into. It goes into way more detail in this book of all the different things that you can use, because it's not just yoga and meditation and journaling and breath work, right? There's a whole plethora of stuff that you can use. Connecting to the earth, right? Like, the root chakra works with roots. So getting back to our roots of Mother Nature, going outside, whether it be in our bare feet, laying down on the ground, check for ants, things like that. Breathing exercises, gratitude. I think gratitude is something that a lot of people talk about, but no one's actually doing. And it's one thing to be grateful, but it's another thing to have a physical, actual practice of gratitude, right? Like, waking up every day, writing down what you're grateful for, and just bringing that to the forefront of our minds. And another thing is visualization. So visualizing your highest self with an open, balanced root chakra. What does a day in your life look like with a balanced root chakra? Like, are you able to go throughout your day without feeling insecure, without feeling unstable, knowing that you have that foundation? Like, there's just all kinds of different ways that you can kind of go more into these practices, right? Whether it be yoga, journaling, meditation. Another thing that I don't think people talk about a whole lot, and that is sound therapy. So for the root, each chakra has its own specific frequency. So listening to those kinds of things, they have all kinds of different videos on YouTube, with like root chakra healing. They've got all kinds of different, like sound bowl bath type things. Just really figuring out, going through what's available out there for you and figuring out what works best. So I know that was a lot of information. I wasn't anticipating actually going this long, but here we are. So let's get into some yoga poses to go along with this chakra. So some of the ones we're going to do today, there's going to be a point where I'll be standing and you probably won't be able to see me a whole lot. So just listen to my voice. Just go through the movements to the best of your ability. You can also skip this part. You don't have to do any of the movements. You can just listen to the beginning and then maybe do a meditation. Google root chakra energy healing, see what comes up, and just sit and meditate with that. You can pull up a yantra and look at it. And then, just kind of work your way through there if that's what works better for you in the time that you have. So otherwise, we are going to meet in child's pose. So I always like to do child's pose with the knees out wide, big toes together, shifting the hips back, and then stacking one hand on top of the other and resting my forehead down like so. I'm going to move this mic right here so you guys can hear me. Once you get into your child's pose, really, if you're doing this at home, get comfortable. So you can put a pillow underneath your hips, you can put blankets underneath your knees, and maybe even a pillow underneath the head. You're welcome to reach the arms out in front of you, letting the forehead come to the floor. Really, whatever works best. Feel free to maneuver and adjust. And as you come into your pose, focusing on the breath, noticing the inhales and exhales, and really feeling that coming in and out of the body, right? So as you inhale, feeling the back of the body expand, right? We're in child's pose, so it might be a little difficult for the front body, so think about the back body expanding. And then as you exhale, trying to find the areas to soften. And say to yourself, I trust my body. I trust my body. I embrace its strength. I trust my body. I embrace my strength. Breathing in. Breathing out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. I am. Deep breath out. Here. Deep breath in. Exhale out. I am right where I need to be. Come up onto all fours, hands and knees, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We'll do a few rounds of cat-cow, inhaling, allowing the heart and the belly to drop towards the floor, looking forward or up. And then on an exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the chin, tucking the tailbone. Inhale, soften and expand. Exhale, round. Two more like that. Inhale, exhale. One more. Beautiful. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, lift the hips, come into downward dog. Hips up towards the ceiling. High on the toes, bending the knees, pushing into the ground as the hips lift up towards the ceiling. Feeling this lift of energy through the pelvic bowl. Inhale, the right leg up into the air. Exhale, pull the knee through center, step it in between the hands or to the outside of the right hand. Release the knee to the floor, nice and easy. Untuck the back toes. Reach the arms forward and up alongside the ears. Circle, sweep them out, back to the side. Inhale, reach them back forward and up. Exhale, out and down by your sides. One more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Bringing the hands to the floor. We're going to tuck the back toes. Lift the left knee up off the floor. Take the heel to the ground. Turn the toe out. We're going to set up for warrior two on the right side. Knee pointing forward. Reaching the arms out into a T. Palms face the ground. Now the knee is going forward and slightly out. Never caving inward towards the inside edge of your mat. And another thing with this front toe is you can turn it to better fit your body. Reach the arms out. Take two more breaths here. Release settling into your pose, feeling strong and stable. Windmill the arms back to the floor. Step the right foot back to meet the left. Downward dog. Breath in. Breath out. Left knee will go to the ceiling. Pull the knee into the chest. On an exhale, step the left foot in between the hands. Hold here for a breath. Plant the left heel to the floor, or the right heel. Turn the toes out at an angle. Come up for warrior two on the left side. Bringing the arms out into a T. Palms face the floor. Shoulders relax away from the ears. Settle here. Really feeling this reaching through the fingers, rooting through the feet. Hold for 2 more breaths. Strong and stable. Windmill the hands back to the floor. Step the left foot back to meet the right. Downward dog. Knees out wide. Child's pose. Shift the hips back. Walk the hands to the knees. Come back to hands and knees. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Walk your hands back to your feet. Forward fold. Maybe wrapping your arms around your legs. Maybe grabbing to the big toes. Pulling yourself down to the ground. Forehead releases. Give the head a shake. Bringing the fingertips to the floor. Heel toe your feet to the edges of your mat and turn your toes out. We're going to bend the knees out wide. Sink into what's called Malasana. Yogi squat. Now this is pretty low. Okay, if it feels better to stay up more high, you're welcome to. Go ahead and turn this way so you can see. So you can be up here. You can have the fingertips down, or you can drop the hips down and come into this pose. So Malasana. Garland squat. Never figured out why they call it garland. Hands will come to the floor. We'll straighten the legs. Turn the toes to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Plant the hands. Step the feet back for downward dog. Hold for 2 breaths. Look in between your hands. Lift your left leg up. Step the left foot forward and the right foot. Inhale, come into chair pose. Hips low. Knees bent, arms out by the sides or in prayer in front of the heart, or they can rest on the thighs. Hold for 2 breaths. Exhale, hands come back to the floor. Step the left foot back, left knee goes down to the ground. Reach both arms forward and up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step the left foot forward. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Right foot steps back, right knee go to the ground. Inhale the arms forward and up. Exhale. Step the right foot forward. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Let the head release. Regather your breath. Step the feet back. Come into downward dog. Knees out wide. Big toes come together. Shift the hips back to the heels, forehead to the floor. Remain here. Find your breath. Take a few moments. Come to hands and knees. Then come over to a seat. Cross-legged or whatnot. If there's a more comfortable seat you'd like to come into, you're welcome to. We're going to end class today from a seat. So if you're at home, I always encourage you to sit either on a pillow or a blanket, or you can just sit on your couch, right? Excuse me. Coffee was good this morning. Oh, man. So, I'm going to talk us through a meditation. So, I don't want you to feel like you have to stay for this. If you need to do other things, you're welcome to. You can pause this video, you can come back. It's not going to be a very long meditation. It'll be kind of short. But it's just one to use to notice what's around you, okay? So I'm actually up against a wall. I think some people feel like when you do yoga, you have to be like away from the wall. You can't let anything touch, you know what I'm saying? Like no props, no nothing. I have to just sit and that be that. That's not the truth, okay? Do what works best for you. So whether you be sitting in a chair or sitting with your back against the wall. But you're going to find a comfortable seat. We're going to bring the attention to our breathing. So take a nice full inhale. Nice full exhale. Nice full inhale. Nice full exhale. Focus on the breath. Allow it to flow naturally through both nostrils, letting the breath be as deep or as long as it wants to be, and as fast or as slow as seems comfortable. Eyes can be opened or closed. Feeling the shoulders relax away from the ears. The jaw relaxing. Become aware of the parts of the body that are in contact with the floor. Consciously breathe in that direction and observe what happens. Noticing if you feel light, as if you are floating, or if you feel an expansion downward, as if you're becoming heavy. Continue this breath, moving the awareness into the other areas of the body, whether that be your arms or your legs. Continue to breathe. Noticing how you feel at this present moment. Ending the class with a mudra, a hand position, bringing the pointer and the index finger together, palms face up, allowing the other three fingers to open. This is the root chakra mudra. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Gently bring both palms together in front of the heart. Bow your chin to your chest. give yourself a thank you for making the time for yourself and for your practice. The divine light in me honors, bows, and recognizes the divine light in you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me for this root chakra class. I hope you've enjoyed it. Any feedback, please let me know. I tried to keep the mic as close to me as I could because I didn't want to have to yell. I will have the other recordings up as well. I'm going to do tonight's class. I'm going to try to record it in class and see what happens. If the quality is not too good, though, then I'm probably going to record it like this. And that way it's only a 30-minute class. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you're always welcome to reach out to me. And thank you so much for supporting Wildwood Yoga and Wellness. I hope you have a fantastic day.